So another common metric which gets used to evaluate investments is the payback period. Now we can define the payback period as a technique which measures exactly how long it takes the company to recover or recoup the capital it's invested in a project. So for example, you could have a payback period of 3 years, which would mean that it would take 3 years in order to get back all the capital which was invested. Now, another common metric is the discounted payback period. So this is the same as the payback period, but it accounts for the time value of money. And one thing to keep in mind at the bottom here is that these techniques, the issue with them is that they do not measure at all what happens after the payback period. They only measure up into and including the payback period itself. Now, it's great to understand this theory, but let's jump into Excel next and make sure that we know exactly how to tackle the challenge of calculating the payback period using a real example. So as you can see down here, we're on the Payback tab on this particular Excel file. We want to give you some tips on how to complete this exercise. First up, let's go down here and calculate the cumulative cash flow. So we could do this by putting in the equation where we're adding this empty cell to this new cash flow of minus $130 million, hitting enter. Now we can highlight across just like this and hit Control R just to copy them to the right. So we can already see how quickly the company has paid back its capital. In 1 year, it wasn't paid back because it was still negative. Year 2, year 3, but then in year 4, we're already in positive territory. So that means somewhere between year 3 and year 4, the capital was paid back. So you already know that the payback period is going to be between 3 and 4 years, but you need to calculate it. We're looking for a formula in here, down in these cells, which will detect when this is switched from negative to positive, and when it has, we want you to try to calculate exactly the payback period. You know it'll be 3 point something, but we want you to calculate it exactly. And all we're going to do down in this cell is put in a sum function that sums all the way across here and brings that payback period figure nicely into the cell. Now, the formula that you're going to need in here is definitely really tricky. Do not feel badly if you struggle with it or if you can't get it. If you really struggle with it and you can't get there, then we'll see you soon and we'll walk you through it. Good luck and give it a good try. All right, so let's take a look at this payback tab here. First of all, we've got a formula in here, which is accumulating these cash flows. Well, we could use the shift key to highlight down and all the way across like this. We're holding down the shift key. We're going to hit Control R for a fill right, Control D for a fill down. And you can see over on the right-hand side, we already have 2 checkboxes. So next up, we need to identify the place where the cash flows, or the cumulative cash flows, flip from negative to positive. So you can see that they're negative here, but then right in between year 3 and 4, they flip to positive. So let's start by building a formula actually right in here. And we're going to say if, and what we're going to do is we're going to say if this cell times this cell is less than 0, then put a 1 in the cell. Otherwise, put a 0 in the cell. Oops, a 0 in the cell like this. And then we're going to close the brackets and hit enter. So let's take a look at what we're doing in this formula. We're effectively multiplying these 2 numbers together. And when we multiply a negative times a positive, we get a negative, which is putting a 1 in the cell. But when we copy this, so we're going to do a copy, we're going to paste it all the way through here, paste like that, we get zeros everywhere else. Well, why is that? Well, because if we're multiplying 2 negative numbers, we get a positive. And up here, where we're multiplying 2 positive numbers, we're getting a positive as well. So searching for the inflection point is an easy way to do this when we're multiplying them through and seeing if they're less than 0. So next up, we need to identify in what point during year 3 does the cash flow move from negative to positive? Well, we can do that actually by using an intercept function. Let's add it in. So let's go in here and adjust this function. We're going to tap F2. Now, instead of putting a 1 in here, let's type in the word intercept like this. We can see it come up, so we can hit tab. We're going to tap the F2 key. The first thing it wants here is the known y's. Well, the known y's will be up here, year 3 and 4, put in a comma, and the known x's are these values right here, minus 40 million, minus 30 million. Now what we can do is close the bracket, and we can hit enter. Now the other thing that we want to do, let's pop into the cell one more time, is we want to do some cell locking. So for example here, this reference here, which is purple, we're going to tap F4, actually a couple of times because we want to lock the row references, but not the column references, and we can hit enter. Now let's do a copy, and now we're going to paste it all the way through this entire area here with a paste. Now, in order to complete this exercise down here, we're just going to put in a sum function, and we're going to add across this row here, and then we're going to copy that down with a Control D like this as well. And we can see we have all the checkboxes on the right showing 100% over here as well. So you may have never seen that type of solution before, and it's quite tricky. So again, if you didn't get it, don't feel bad about it. Remember, the first thing that we did was we searched for the inflection point, the point at which it changed from negative to positive. Once we'd found that with an if statement, then we used the intercept function, and that helped us find the point between year 3 and year 4 when it actually switched from negative to positive, and that came out as 3.6. So well done on this exercise. You've successfully completed one of the most difficult formulas in this course. Nice work.